All right. Hey guys, it is 11:30 and you know my rule. What's my rule, Greg?
We're on time. We start on time.
We're going to reward the people who showed up on time. Okay. So start with why. So Greg, I know you love this book. Look at him. Look at that smile. Why do you love this book?
It's just from an inspirational standpoint. I think it's just so clear, and that it provides just these basic commercial examples for us that we can all relate to. Especially when he talks, he goes to the Apple explanation versus Microsoft and everything else. I think it's just clear, and then how you can translate that message into kind of your own career, your own personal mantra per se. I haven't read a book that hasn't even come close to that kind of inspiration.
So I need you to do me a favor. You need to speak up.
Okay.
Because you have a lot to say, and I'm 60 and I'm having a hard time hearing you. I want you to explain for the people that haven't read the book, the Apple versus Microsoft example he gives.
Okay. So starts off with, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And understand, and to illustrate it best, he uses the I'm a PC, I'm a Mac commercial. Whereas I'm a Mac, it's a casual guy. It's the belief of the Apple mantra. And so he's casual, he's in his t-shirts, he's in shorts. And so versus Microsoft, I'm a PC, which is very static, stoic, got his glasses, he has his shirt and tie on, it's just very stiff. Whereas Apple is more free, Microsoft is very stiff.
Oh, and Apple's much more cooler, right? Do you want to be with the cool kids? Do you want to sit at the cool kids table, right?
Yeah, you want to be at the cool. Yeah, that's the idea. I'm trying to remember what he used. The illustration of, we make great computers. We believe to have this mantra. We believe that people should be able to love what they do. We design great computers. We design great technology. Do you want to buy one? Versus Microsoft is, we make great computers. They have all these kind of benefits and bells and whistles, and everybody uses them in office. Do you want to buy one? It just illustrates it so clearly, and how differently of that example. That, and I certainly didn't do it as well as Simon does, but it clearly shows the difference of a why versus a what.
And how you communicate it, right? So like, I think Apple is, I want to build something that you don't even know you want to buy.
Right.
Like, what? Right. So I want to do this, jump on the bandwagon, and then, by the way, we have a product if you want to buy it. So yeah, for sure. So yeah, I love that example. That one of the quotes that I liked is, there are only two ways to influence human behavior. You can manipulate it, or you can inspire it. Right? Those are the only two ways that you can influence behavior. So, there's a lot of people in sales that manipulate behavior, right? Like, no money down, buy by 5 o'clock and you get, 50% off. That's all manipulation. Or inspiring it, right? Inspiring the behavior. And I think Apple does that. Apple inspires the behavior.
Of course.
There's no discounts with the Apple products. So you're paying quadruple what you're paying for any other similar product, but you're inspired to, be the cool kid at the table.
Well, he talks about, Dell creating the MP3 player. Well, they were well capitalized. They were the first to market. They should have held the entire, they should have run away with it. And yet now we all have iPhones and iPods and everything, and earbuds and everything else. Whereas, I mean, Apple was the last one in, but they're the best product because because you live that lifestyle that I need to have Apple, and I need to spend that they have a premium on that lifestyle, and we're just cheap to go buy it, and nobody cares.
And now everyone that wants to be on Clubhouse is going buying Apple products.
Right.
There's something going on with that behind the scenes. I haven't figured that out yet. But yeah, Apple I'm glad I own the stock because they just got in the last three weeks, a lot more people that were never Apple product owners, that were fighting that trend. Oh, I only have an Android. Now are getting Apple products, at least an iPad, so that they can get on Clubhouse. So how do we transition or transfer this concept of people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And there's only two ways to influence your human behavior is to either manipulate it or inspire it. So I can tell you for me, when I'm showing space at a center that is successful, where my tenants are doing well, I love talking about my tenants that are doing well. I love inspiring someone who wants to come in. Now, we don't always have the luxury of having, successful centers, but when we do, and I have a few of them, I love being able to share that, like, this guy I brought in as a pop-up and he's doing this in sales, or, this tenant came in because of this tenant and they're tripled their sales over their other locations. Inspiring people to be in my center because of my other tenants' success. How else do you guys think we could, in our leasing or investment sale businesses, inspire people instead of manipulate them?
I think one of the most attractive, at least to me, from the real estate industry is that it's built on reputation. It's built on this idea of win-win scenarios, and for me, that's how it is applicable to the industry as a whole. Right? What he is basically saying is you want to align yourself with the way to inspire people is to give them a message of why that aligns with their values, that they can by association say, hey, this is what I represent too. And I think that translates very well into the real estate industry by this idea of, okay, a lot of people value camaraderie, value teamwork, value all of these things. And I think across the board, no matter what kind of real estate you do, because like I've mentioned in the past, I'm not a broker, so it still even spoke to me in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. When I ran a big team in Miami, I had 14 leasing agents, and they loved it when I would always send them back for another $1 a square foot. Yeah, I don't think you guys got enough. Go back and try to get another $1. And I don't know what book I read, but something prompted me to, it has to be more than greed. Why am I sending them back more? Our job is a fiduciary to our client. And at the time, our clients were pension funds and life insurance companies. So I quickly created the mantra, go get the extra $1 for the widows and children. And my leasing agents really kind of grabbed onto that and shared that then with the prospects. Like, we work for the widows and children of the teachers' pension fund, all of the teachers. So we have to do our job for that investment for those teachers. And I think that that's more of the why than the what, right? And so how do you argue that, right? How do you, as a prospect, how do you, of course they can argue it, but it's more than just the greed of the property owner. Like for me now, I'm not a pension fund in a life insurance company, but or for example, Greg, when you were at Brookfield and Westfield and now Taubman, they're REITs, you're working for the shareholders, and the shareholders could be your next door neighbor.
Right.
Isn't that better of a message if you have that ability to use that for prospects than the greed of a commercial real estate developer? I think so.
It is. And I know when I'm showing space or leasing space or prospecting, I bring up you know, I try to tap into emotions of not selfishly, but really trying to tap into the emotions of why this person is looking at this space for their business. What is why have they gotten started into this from the beginning? It's not so much for them just to make money. And I've heard that answer. And if somebody tells me I'm just here to make money, the conversation ends very quickly because I don't want to deal with it. I need to know the origin story. I want to know why they established, you know, what inspires them today to go make these soy candles that they're selling for 20 to 30 bucks. What's in it for them? That's the story that I like to get out of them, because when they do, they'll buy whatever they want. You tap into the, I mean, and this goes, I mean, this conversation can be related to on all different levels, from a retail store to commercial leasing space to any sales mentality. And that's what I love about the story about this book, is simply because it forces you to think a little bit differently in how you sell.
Absolutely. And then, so a few more quotes that I liked, and for those of you that are new, I see some new faces, which I love. Feel free to jump in if you've read the book, or even if you haven't read the book and have a comment. What we like to do, Greg, I don't think you've rarely missed a book club call, maybe a couple in 4 years.
I don't miss many, and when I do miss many, I text you apologizing because I feel bad. I just get so much out of them, so they're just a lot of fun, and especially, I mean, this is one of my favorites. So if I miss this one, I'm either in the hospital somewhere.
So what I like to do is, as I'm reading the book or listening to the book, I like to write down quotes or stories in the book that resonate with me. And then my job as the leader of the club for this audience is to then take the quote or the story and apply it to what we do, whether it's lease space, whether it's to sell investment sales, whatever it is. You know, in most of my people that are on this call are in commercial real estate. So that's my job, so that when you leave, you're just thinking about leasing space or selling centers in a different way. So one of the things they said that it's better to compete, instead of competing against your competitors, compete against yourself, which I love, right? Like beating your own time, your personal best. So what do you guys think about that? Because, you know, for me, I preach, go canvas with the leasing agent across the street, right? Go talk to the shopping center owner across the street. Well, why would we do that? There are competitors. Because, you know, that leasing agent has different, like Susan Ross, who's with Federal, has 1 million square foot property across from my 42,000 square foot property. You know, I have a 3,500 square foot space. She has a 7, an 8, a 10, an out parcel, some little, I mean, we may have one space that's similar in size, but her center is Costco, Home Depot, Ross, you know, you name it, Trader Joe's, and I'm, you know, Panera. So go and canvas with your competitors in the market, because you're both going after prospects who are looking at that submarket. And I'd rather, frankly, I want her to lease up faster than me, because if she's full, my rents are higher. But I find when I tell this, you know, give this idea out to people around the country, they're like, what are you saying? Why would we do that? So competing against your competition versus, instead of doing that, competing against yourself. What do you guys think about that idea? And let's hear from Anthony. You want to speak up? Did you read the book, Anthony? Oh, speak up. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And it says you're unmuted, but there you go. Say it again. Nope, can't hear you. We'll come back to you. Sean, did you read the book? Oh, Veronica.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what do you think about?
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think about the concept?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What do you think about the concept, compete against yourself instead of your competition?
Yeah, I love that idea because it's something that I think about a lot as far as anything I'm taking on, because I'm new to the industry and I'm just getting started and I don't really have clients. So I almost think of it starting with why is really about myself, like improving myself, how I can get better, and almost like gamifying it for myself. Like, how can I use every experience as an opportunity to experience a new sensation that's going to help me become stronger and become the person that I want to be? You know, if I look at it that way, I'm not caught in the grind of making a cold call or sending a message and thinking of it as something that's boring or something like that.
Right.
So just beginning with the vision.
Exactly. I think that's right on the money, because when you're new and you don't have listings and you're trying to get listings, you don't really have competition. Your competition is yourself. And by using, again, your personal best, like today I made 20 cold calls, tomorrow I need to make 21. You will start improving on your own skill set. And then that will put you in position to get listings and have competition in the sense of the word, right? So Thomas says, I think for
Yeah,
me,
absolutely.
go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I almost think of it like a workout, like you're going to the gym every week. Every opportunity, that every experience really is that opportunity to flex that muscle. Yeah, absolutely, and work on yourself.
Exactly. Thanks for participating. Tom says, I think for me, this really is a mindset reminder. If you come from a position of it's all about the money, it's not going to work. Live your life from a position of abundance and contribution. Your message and marketing will be clear, consistent, and you'll create more connections with your clients. Absolutely, Tom. Love that. Veronica, you raised your hand.
Yes, I was thinking about this competing with myself, and I think definitely is starting with clarity of what are my values, and for me, so I know what am I competing. So definitely knowing, be aware of what are my needs are, what my clarity, what my, and be consistent with that. Be consistent with my values. What is it, and I think, um, some people may, like the book says, may like them, and some people may hate them, but really be have a conviction about what I believe in. For me, it's important, and what, helping somebody else, and definitely it's not always about the money. It's not. I mean, definitely everybody has to make a living, but having boundaries as well. So definitely having that clarity. That's what it means competing with myself.
Absolutely. Another quote that I love, and I don't know personally all of you, I know a few of you, and also we have hundreds that listen to these recordings after the fact. So in our industry, there's a lot of people, some people because of the pandemic looking for work. And just in our industry, there's, people move around. So I think that talking about this quote would be helpful for some people in the audience. He says that employers don't hire for skills, they hire for attitude, because you can always teach the skills. So I have always hired for attitude, always. When I built the team in Miami, in the beginning, when I was a new manager and a new leader, I hired experienced leasing agents, which was a disaster because we had a very unique culture. It never worked. So after like the third person that I hired for experience, I went, okay, this isn't working. And that's when I started my whole journey, which has now gone on 30 years of recruiting young associates, whether, I was in South Beach 2 weekends ago and had the best waiter ever. And I'm like, what do you do? I want to hire you. So hiring waiters or waitresses or tutors for my kids or anyone that had a great attitude, executed, smile on their face, and that's how I've built my team up to, at some point, 14, 15 leasing agents at one time. So, one of my young people that are in my challenge, my canvassing club challenge that we're doing, that Greg is in, where we're canvassing or prospecting the number of people or businesses per the day of the month. So Greg and I owe 22 today. I haven't started yet, Greg. Have you?
I'm halfway done.
Good job. So I haven't started yet, so I'll have to do 22. But you guys laugh, Greg, laugh, tell them. I send, like, I put on the Facebook post midnight, I'm finishing mine, right? I get them in,
You
but
get them
they're
in.
late.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
Right.
look, we have to get 496 done by the end of the month. So whether you do it now or later, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter. But this is one way to organize it.
But one of the young ladies who is in a situation, and Veronica, this, I think you'll find this interesting. She, her deal sheet is not full. And Sean, you also will get something out of this. So they don't have big deal sheets. And she's like, how do I go to, this XYZ company in Texas and compete against people that have these big, long deal sheets? And I said to her, her name's Susan, I said, Susan, you just finished a challenge with me where you prospected 496 people. I promise you that no one in that company with 35 leasing agents has prospected 496 people in that company in the last month. You have something that those bosses are dying to have on their teams. That's a huge value add. And that's not, and she doesn't really have the skills to close the deal. She goes, but I've never done a Ross deal.
Yeah.
I haven't done a 7-Eleven deal. I haven't even done a 2,000 square foot or 1,000 square foot vape store. And I've said, it doesn't matter. You have done something that the people that have done those deals haven't done in 2 decades. And so she, put her shoulders back. I said, put it on your resume that you competed in the challenge and you cold called and canvassed 496 people. And she's on her second interview with the company. So that's not hiring on skills, because she doesn't have the skills. It's an attitude of, I'm going to go canvass 496 people in 31 days. So Greg, what do you think about that?
I think it certainly can work from an employee perspective, but I think from an employer perspective, but I think it's equally important from an employee perspective. When you're going to interview with different companies, you want them to have kind of share the same values as well. And so a lot of the questions that I ask when I'm in on an interview is, why did you get into this business? Or why did you start it? And it's interesting the answers you'll get, because a lot of people, when you ask that question, they don't see the why. They kind of jump right into well, this is my backstory. Well, I didn't ask that. I want to know why did you start this? What's your path? Like, why are you still doing this from day one? And those questions, the answers I get are pretty interesting, and they're not what I would expect from someone that's like really passionate about their business, that knows it better. They know the what, they know what they do, and they can give me all the bells and whistles. Oh, we've leased 10 million square feet. We own 125 properties across the country, all of the what's and the features, but that's not what I asked. I want to know why. What's the passion behind it? And that's it's a big question to ask, and it's hard to articulate it.
So 2 things on that. One, the number one thing I would be actively doing when you ask that question is listening, like, and seeing who listened to the question I asked. And
I'll be honest with you, no one's answered it right yet.
So, well, right is relative, Mr.
Right is relative. They respond with the what instead of
Greg,
the why.
Right is relative when they're making $500,000 and you're interviewing for the job.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay. But I do think that busy people and C-suite people don't listen. So that's, so that's one. And you really, I think, want to work for someone that's a good listener. But I also think, so I this morning I was in a Clubhouse event that was unbelievable. And they were talking about a new hot book, which I ordered, I'm going to listen to this weekend, called Who Not How. Greg, have you heard about it? They were this is like, supposedly the 7 and 8 figure people raving about this book, Who Not How. So I downloaded it immediately. Who Not How. So going back to what you said about how.
I will definitely download it today.
I'm trying to, now that I'm in Clubhouse, my book listening and reading has, has decreased to a very small trot, and I need to finish. I'm in the middle of the Amazon. Uh-oh. Hold on. I'm in the middle of trying to finish the Amazon book, which is one of our upcoming books. So here's a couple other quotes, and anyone that wants to chime in, just unmute and say, or chat or raise your hand. So Henry Ford summed it up best. If I had asked people what they wanted, he said, they would have said a faster horse. I love that. So Henry Ford says, if I would have asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse, right? It's like my clients who own shopping centers. If I said, well, what do you want? Well, we want, we want tenants, or we want our leasing agents to work hard to get tenants, right? So I'm on this huge push for every landlord in the world, at least in the US, if they have more than 3 vacancies, to donate one for 90 days for a pop-up. I don't think if I would have said to those landlords, what do you want? They would have said, well, we want to give away 90 days free to pop-ups. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to increase our occupancy. They're going to go on their analyst calls and say that we've changed the economy because we've helped the small business community. So what they want and what I think they should need are going to be 2 different things, but we're going to get to the same result. So when a prospect comes to lease space, what they want or what we think that maybe they want. So how do we do that? What do they want? They want, you know what they want? What do they say they all want? Low rent. But what they really want are more sales. And if they are in a center where they can get more sales, they're not going to get the low rent. So that's kind of the Henry Ford faster horse thing, don't you think?
It is. And I mean, and we have to be the guides to help them see the forest to the trees. And when we're showing space or prospecting, this book kind of completely changed my mindset of how I approach. And so it actually drove me to learn a whole lot more about retail and retail management and just retail sales, so that I can understand on a much different level what these entrepreneurs are going through on a daily basis, how they perceive me, because how they perceive me is how they're going to perceive the property that I'm leasing. And I need them to have that excited, inspiring experience when they walk into their store every day. Like, I've got to make sure that this is their dream, this is their living it, and it cannot be a sense of frustration.
So frictionless, right? Frictionless.
Exactly.
So people will perceive you, how they'll perceive the property. So what did you change after you read the book about your personality or your delivery or your communication after you read the book?
Well, I became a partner in a retail store, for one, to truly understand just all the nuts and bolts of how a retail operation runs. I started offering valet services to my prospects when they show up to the properties to find space.
I love that. I love that. I keep forgetting that. I love that.
I met them at the door. I did everything I possibly could to give them the best possible experience that they could. And I tried to, and I helped them communicate with other successful businesses in the property to know, okay, if these guys were successful, what did they do that I need to do to make myself successful here? And those are the couple things that I changed just immediately following this to really.
Yeah, because you lease malls, what a pain in the ass for a prospect to find that mall office.
It's
right.
awful.
Okay. Come see me in my, on my throne in the mall office, which is 3 miles down a corridor to the other end, wherever they park. Absolutely. The valet and you meeting them at the door removes so much friction and frustration. I rarely go into a mall office, but when I think I have to go into a mall office, I'm immediately annoyed because I know it's going to be on the opposite end of wherever I parked, down a long corridor with smelly bathrooms, right? I mean, I think that.
Right. No, it was if I'm thinking it from their perspective, it's the worst experience possible. Not to mention it could be raining. The parking lot's full, so Lord knows where they're going to have to park. So eliminate all of that. Whatever I have the power to eliminate, take it away so that their experience is the absolute best possible that it can be. And then from there, we go through and still we tap into, okay, you're here. Why are you here? What do you like about this place? What do you like about my property that you believe you can be successful here? And I put it on them. They have these images in their head, and it's either my job to reinforce them or my job to dissuade them somehow to put them on different and to focus on different things.
I love it. Tom says, I don't know if it's Tom or Thomas, so I guess I'll say Thomas because that's what it says. I was recommended Start With Why by a new mentor of mine, a huge businessman with 100 million in sales per year. That is a huge businessman. His mentor got him started on operating from why. It took him 2-hour sessions with his mentor to figure out his why. I think with most people, they don't open themselves up to soul creative work like this and work from a non-abundant mindset. That is so deep. I wish Thomas would jump in and let us see himself, but I love that. I also, I've never done the deep work. What's my why? I've always, 20 years ago, I was in some sort of like retreat thing. And they said, you need to have your own personal branding mission statement. And I came up with, at the end of that, impact people positively. Those are my 3 words. And if I can live that every day, whether it's my leasing agent clients, whether it's my partners, whether it's my kids, whether it's the tenants, the prospects, my vendors, if I can impact people positively, then I've done a good job. But I don't know if that's my why. I think my why is I love when people are like, I love when anyone I'm working with is successful. I love when my goat hobby store opens up and does not $120,000 in December, and they were going to be a pop-up. Like, I love that. Or I love when Greg and I are talking about prospecting and he says, I'm coming to Miami to work on vacancies, and I'm out canvassing, and I hear someone say, I really want something like the Dolphin Mall in Miami, and I can send that to Greg and he can go make a deal. Like, I love helping people. So that's my why, I think. I don't know. Anthony says, I am reading a book, The Top 10 Rules for Success, which features Simon as one of the leaders. And he talks about training the mind instead of nervous reframe to, what does that mean? Instead of nervous reframe to excited. Nope, I can't. So I'll wait for you. Michael Hinton, can you speak to us?
Hey, everyone. How you doing, Beth?
I'm great. How are you? Long time no see.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear. I did get the book this week, or this month, I should say, but I have not flipped. I've only flipped through it a little bit, but I see some things here, starting with the why, to understand the how and the what. And to me, it says very clearly that if you know the why and the motivation, then to me, as Veronica hinted, the clarity of your tasks and what you need to accomplish to get to the why just becomes much more clear. If you're working for somebody, I don't do nearly the leasing that you guys all do. I'm more on the other side, trying to find people who want to buy things and invest in them. But the motivation is the same. And if I understand what's motivating them and why they want to do these things, then it makes the task that much easier. And I stuck up there numeral, and I'm sure you've heard this before. Numeral is a great thing when I go to meet somebody. I scribble it on a piece of paper and I make sure that I ask all these things while I'm having a conversation with them. Because Beth, there's a lot of people that come to Miami and say, oh, I want to invest. I want to be a landlord. My uncle did this. I'm bringing my money from somewhere else. And then you say to them, where do you want to put your money? Or what is it you want to accomplish out of it? And they're like, oh, just show me all the investments and I'll pick a good one. And that's not how it works. If if you like chocolate ice cream, you're going to stay with chocolate ice cream. If you like retail, you're going to stay with retail. And if you've got success in it, you're going to want more of that. And there's so many people that are out there that are wishy-washy, and they're just kind of running around going, oh, I want ice cream. I know I want ice cream, but I don't know what flavor I want. And I'm like, no, you've found success. You want it more. So my little key that I use is numeral: needs, urgency, motivation, expectation, resources, authority, and loyalty. And if they don't have those, they may not have everything, but if they've got most of them, then I'm going to start working with them. But if I can't get some of those answers out of them while I'm talking with them and listening to them give me those answers, then they're not ready to invest, or they're not ready to make, to pull the trigger, so to speak. So that's kind of how I get to the why.
Michael, do that again. Needs, urgency,
motivation,
yeah,
expectation,
uh-huh,
resources, authority, and loyalty.
I love that. I've never heard of that.
You haven't? Wow. I can't believe I'm teaching you something crazy. But need is like, I have a shipping container coming from France, and I need a warehouse next month to put my wine in. That's a need. That's not a wish. And urgency is by a certain day, and all these professional companies have a date that they need to accomplish something by. What's motivating them? It goes back to your main question of start with why. Expectation. I had a client, actually he never became my client because he told me to my face, this is how we buy real estate in Rome, and I'm not paying you a 6% commission, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, then go back to Rome. Your expectations are crazy. If you've found success in Rome, stay in Rome, because you're not going to find success in Miami working with me with that attitude. Have a nice day. And I did. And thank God he didn't become my client, because he was a pain in my ass. But I found out right away in that first conversation that his expectations were not there.
What's the R again?
Resources.
Okay. And authority and loyalty. Okay. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then Evan says, thank you, Michael. And Evan says the book is called The Top 10 Rules for Success, Rules to Succeed in Business and Life from Titans, Billionaires, and Leaders Who Changed the World. So yeah, I love reading. My only problem is now I'm distracted with a little thing called Clubhouse, but eventually I'll come back to reading. So I love this quote. And Greg, do me a favor, see if you can find the monkey quote, because I can't find it, and it's so funny, and I'm looking for it and I can't find it. But while one of you are trying to find the monkey quote, listen to this quote. So multitask, Greg. Charisma, I just love this. Charisma has nothing to do with energy. It comes from a clarity of why. It comes from absolute conviction in an ideal bigger than oneself. Energy, in contrast, comes from a good night's sleep or lots of caffeine. Energy can excite, but only charisma can inspire. Charisma commands loyalty. Energy does not. Oh my God, I love that. Oh my goodness, I love that. Charisma versus energy. Yeah, you can be the energy bunny and have zero charisma, because it's not coming from a why, right? It's not coming from a why. So I just love that. What do you guys think about that?
Beth, you're like reading my mind, because I had the monkey quote, which I lost, and I was trying to find it again. And I wanted to mention it because you brought up how CEOs don't listen, or C-suites don't listen. I can't find it. So hopefully Greg does.
I found it.
Oh, okay, great.
Before you jump in, Greg, Laura, are you going to speak up today and say hi? She's probably,
I was just listening in on this one. I didn't read the book, but I have started reading Breath for next month. So I was just tuning in to see what I could learn and take away from this, even though I did miss out on reading it.
I know I haven't started reading Breath yet either, but I think from what I've heard, it's going to change all of our lives. Greg, have you read Breath yet? Oh, I lost. Okay. Yeah, I got to start that. So thanks, Laura, for bringing that up. We're going to talk about that later. Okay. Nicole, did you want to add something? Did I cut you off?
just really quick, not really. It was just about the quote that you just said. That was the next one that I wanted to mention, and how much like I loved that whole idea. And I wrote a comment that basically is like, you know how people say charisma is undefinable. What I loved about that quote is, to me, it made me think that charisma is having that bigger purpose. Charisma is that why. That's what makes somebody charismatic and appealing to certain people, or populace, versus just regular old leaders. Anyways, that was my comment.
Yeah, we won't get into politics on that, right? Charisma versus energy. Let's think about our politicians. No, we won't do that, I promise. Greg, read. So you guys listen to this quote about the monkeys. I love this.
Some in management positions operate as if they are in a tree of monkeys. They make sure that everyone at the top of the tree looking down sees only smiles. But all too often, those at the bottom looking up see only asses.
How true. So all of us in leadership positions need to know that. We need to know that we are looking down and seeing smiles, and they're looking up and seeing our asses. And they should be seeing smiles. And we should be down boosting them up. Right? We work for them. So, okay. So who else has some thoughts about the book? Greg, what other parts of the book did you love? Or anyone else who wants to jump in?
Hey, Beth, Michael again. I would say on that charisma, you could also substitute the word confidence as in the same quote, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, you have confidence when you have all this positive energy, not just charisma, but confidence is also a big part of being a leader.
100%. 100%. We're very confident down here in Miami, Michael, aren't we? How about our mayor? Oh, he doesn't feel as strongly about our mayor as I do. I mean, the guy's on Twitter having a conversation with Elon Musk that he should move businesses to Miami and build tunnels under our streets. We love it. Okay. Anyone else have something? I'll bring up another quote, but who else would like to share something about the book that they liked?
I want to speak to something that Michael mentioned earlier in his points, which I really liked as well. But in the book, it says a clear sense of why sets expectations. And I thought that was a really interesting point, because for me, how you build trust is by consistently delivering on others' expectations, and you're setting these expectations, making the promise to deliver on it, so people trust you and keep coming back and creating that sense of loyalty. I really liked that point in the book.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Go ahead, Veronica, go sign some leases. And if you email me, I'm happy to have a 30-minute call with you offline.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. How about this quote? This has a lot to do with leasing people and salespeople, a lot. Passion alone can't cut it. For passion to survive, it needs structure. A why without how has little probability of success. I would say that for all of the people that I coach, the structure question and the systems question and the accountability question comes up more times than anything else, and time management. So you can be passionate about selling investment real estate or leasing space, but if you don't have structure, it's never going to happen. So who has a great structure or system they would like to share with everyone? Nicole, do you?
So for me, structure is very much ongoing work in progress. It's always being tweaked. It's always being changed. I had last year this structure that worked really, really well, but it stressed me out like you wouldn't believe. So I decided it wasn't mentally good for me. I was very productive on it, but I set up this spreadsheet where it basically calculated how many hours a day I applied towards any of my goals. And every day I found myself trying to beat the previous day, and I just kind of got overwhelmed because I was like at 10, 12 hours, and I'm like, okay, like, this is not my day job. I need to slow down here. So, and then now I'm using a combination of like online tracking, task management sort of thing. I use Todoist, and then I combine that with weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual reflection, where I kind of just go over where is my mind today? What did I get done? What did I say I was going to get done and didn't? Why? And then any ideas on how I wish to pivot or what I want to continue to focus on. So the way I accomplish that is constantly tweaking.
So are you on the weekends doing what we talked about? Like you have your day job and then you're trying to do something else, or no?
So I do like I'm a buy and hold real estate investor. So I try to do anything in that atmosphere. I'm getting into short-term rentals. So a lot of it is educating, networking, all of that stuff. So it's two jobs essentially. So yes, my weekends, my afternoons, I wake up very early in the morning. I'm usually up by 5. So my mornings, they're all dedicated to other things. So in the midst of that, I try to sprinkle in some like, yoga, meditating so that I don't go nuts. So
Are you on Clubhouse yet?
I am. I haven't quite figured it out though.
So based on what you are doing on the weekends, it is the best ever. So just go in, take this weekend and literally take a couple hours, maybe an hour and a half Saturday, an hour and a half Sunday, and go into these flipping, these rooms that talk about flips and stuff. And you're going to call me Sunday night and go, why did you tell me to do that? I am now addicted. But it's literally masterminds for free and people doing it, 100 times the level you're doing it. So learn from them.
For sure. Thank you. That's solid.
Time blocking. Thomas says time blocking works for him. Greg, you want to talk about time blocking?
Yeah, I mean, time blocking is kind of essential. And I mean, a practice that Beth shared with me last year was the torture exercise.
Exercise of torture.
Exercise of torture, where you basically write down everything that you do from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed. And what it does is for a full week, 7 days. And you realize how much time you waste and just fluff stuff. It opens your eyes to just so much more productivity. And from that productivity, you're able to time block your time, whether it be if you're prospecting for business, this is your 60-minute or your 45-minute period. There is no other distractions. That's what you do for those 45 minutes. And it is so efficient. And that exercise has helped me so much to just stop goofing around, for lack of a better term. And it's not like I'm, playing video games during the day, but it's just stuff that do not contribute to your success. And eliminate that.
How much time did you end up saving after you did that exercise?
Oh God, like 4 hours a day.
So
insane.
Really,
you don't realize how much.
That is the best exercise ever. Right? The best exercise ever. Everyone should do it. I try to do it. I'd like to do it twice a year, but I definitely do it once a year. And you'd think, I've been doing it once a year for 30 years. You'd think I'd get to figure it out. And every year I do it, I find like 3 more hours and I start all over. And then, you just fall into bad habits is the problem.
Yep. It's very easy to, those habits that, the habits that you fall into, they take you into a comfort level where you don't need to be. And that's why we make the bad habits, because we just get comfortable.
Exactly. Well, we like to end at 12:20. So is there any other questions or comments? Michael likes calendars. Anthony uses spreadsheets. I like to see things on paper too. I use my CRM. I definitely time block. When do I canvas every week, Greg? Do you remember?
You're in the afternoon.
Tuesday afternoons from 1 to 5. I'll either do 3 hours or 30 cards, whichever comes first, every Tuesday. I like to do it on Tuesdays because if I miss on Tuesdays because of something, then I have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to catch up. But so next month, the book is Breath, which everyone's talking about breathing and how important it is. It's by James Nestor. It's called The New Science of a Lost Art. I'm looking forward to it because it's different. For some reason, we don't have a date. So I will get Josie on that. It will be either the 19th or the 26th. So just watch for the announcements. Obviously, you guys are here, so you're on the list. So thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next month. And happy reading and join Clubhouse. But then that might affect your reading.
Yeah. What was the book that you mentioned before? The Need What, How, or?
Hold on. Let me look it up. I just ordered it, so it's in my queue. Who, Not How.
Who, Not How. Okay.
When I say who, I'm thinking of Whovilles. Like you have kids, you know it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Happy New Year.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.